I've got a little block plane here that I've had for about, I don't know, 25, 30 years. And last episode that I put up, I restored a 5 1/4 Stanley Bailey plane. And I used kerosene and lubricants and what have you, and I did it here on the bench. Well, I've had a couple of messages and emails from people. Someone didn't like using flammable liquid. Another person said, in fact it was Adam, said it's 30 degrees or minus 30 degrees outside. So what I thought I'd do would be take this block plane up into the in-house workshop, and I've got to do a test video anyway. We'll give it a run, we'll see how the studio works, we'll see how the bench works, and you can actually come and see the new workshop. So let's go up to the Room for Woodwork workshop, which is actually in the home. This will be changed soon. I've got a new one coming. The dear lady's making me a new apron with Room for Woodwork on it. But what I said down there was I was going to restore this plane in here without using solvents and without making any smell or any mess. So here goes. I've got a rubber mat here. What it is, it's actually the Tormek mat that I put my Tormek sharpener in, and I'll show you that in a minute. In the shed, I've got a Tormek T8, but quite frankly, in a workshop this size, a T4 is really all you need. When you consider in the Woodworking Masterclass workshop, I've got over 52 using planes that I use all the time, whereas here, I don't know what I've got. I might have 15, 20 chisels and maybe half a dozen planes. So this little tray here, any sort of tray, if you've got one, a little breakfast tray or something or other, if it's not rubber, it might be an idea to put something anti-slip underneath it, like some of that non-slip shelving matting. There's a sheet of glass. It fits in that rubber tray. And because this isn't a brand new plane, I don't have to do much work on it, but it's a plane I've been using for, I don't know, 25, 30 years, and I've never touched it since I flattened it and sharpened it, occasionally sharpening it. That was about it. So I'll redo the sole, we'll do the blade, I'll set it up, and then we'll do a test plane, and we might make a little cheese platter or a little cutting board or something or other, just to prove that it works. So I'm going to start off, because this is already flat, I don't need 120 or 180 grit. I'm going to start off just with 400 grit. So if your plane really was brand new, you needed to do it a lot harder. You could go for 100 grit, but this one is just 400. I've got plain old water, just to prove it to you. Just water, nothing's flash. Tip that over. And the same as with when I was using the kerosene. It eventually will create a vacuum. You can, if you like, because it does help, just give a little squirt of detergent on it. That helps the sort of lubricates the wet and dry. As with the 5 1/4 I did, retract the blade, and I'm going to surface this with everything intact, so then I know I've got it nice and flat. Same, circular motions, or figure of eights, side to side, up and down, round and round, doesn't matter. If you have a look at that, that's starting to even out quite nicely. Minimum of fuss. Now with a block plane, I don't bother doing the sides. The reason being, very, very seldom do I ever use a block plane as a shooting plane. I know I have in previous videos on box making, but as a rule I don't. So I'm not going to worry about that. Now, depending how badly if yours is pitted, you might have to start with a more aggressive one or keep going. That's at 400. I was thinking of going at 600 or 800, but quite frankly that's smooth enough. So that's nice and clean. I've now finished with that. Got a bucket down here, so I'm just going to throw that in so I don't make a mess. Wipe the glass down. And at the moment I'm keeping with the brief. There's been no smell and I've made no mess. Okay, now we can pull the plane to bits. Shaving stuck in there from somewhere. And it's not too bad, it's got a bit of muck in it. So what we'll do, pick this bucket of water up, still putting it on the tray so we're still nice and clean. Throw it in there. Oh my goodness, that's water. Oh yes it is. But you know what, water's not too bad. That's ordinary detergent. Water's not bad. The only reason it does horrible things is if you don't dry it off. Now I've got a nylon brush, give it a good scrub. Or a toothbrush will do fine. I'll just get into all the little nooks and crannies like that. And when you've done each piece, bring it out. Should be another screw in here somewhere. Here we go. Another screw. You will use a lot of rags working inside. Now you can, if you've got a heat gun, sure you could use a heat gun. Not on high heat because it will heat the metal up. But, or a hairdryer will do. But really if you've got none of that, just do what I'm doing. Just an old towel. Or something absorbent. And then when you come to the threads, just give it a shot of breath, that'll work. I get a lot of questions of people asking me what's the best way to stop your tools from rusting. Without being smart, quite honestly, the best way to stop your tool from rusting is to keep using it. To one side. Now we can start putting it all together. Again, same as the big shed. Piece of candle, just go over the screw threads. Candle wax on that. That's where that sliding mouth goes, just a little bit of candle in there is good too. Make sure that mouth is nice and clean there. Make sure you get good smooth action opening and closing. And work out what position your blade goes in there. I generally have it in the middle one. And with block planes it's bevel up. That's pretty well restored and back together. Got a bit of oak here. We'll just pop that in the vise. And we'll see how it planes. Again, the candle that you used to grease up the screw threads, just rub a bit on the sole of the plane. Give me a nice shaving. I'll try the end grain. So what I think we might do, well, turn this into a first project and we'll make a little cheese board out of it. H&T Gordon and Company, Classic Plane Makers, Tormek, T4, Japanese Tools Australia, Promac, Lebron Finishing Products, iMuff, Safety First, Nobex, and the Plano Clamping System.